In 1998, I was on MTV's Real World, and I was famously hit in the face by a guy. Does everybody remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So if you don't, Google it later. Not now, that's rude. So I flew home to Pleasant Valley, New York, and I was a mess. And my parents said, "We think you need to go see a therapist." Now, I was only 21 at the time, and I had never been to a therapist before, and I assumed I would tell this guy my problems, he would listen, tell me I was both the victim and the hero of my own story. I'd cry, and I'd be cured. And when I got to his office, it was just like I imagined. There was a leather chair that he sat on. I could sit on a couch or lay down if I chose. And he looked like an intellectual dick. And I sit down and he says, "Irene, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I just left this television show called The Real World, and this guy hit me in the face, and I haven't been able to sleep." And he stops me and he says, "I don't have a television set." So he was an intellectual dick. Because in 1998, if you didn't have a television set, that's not like saying you don't have a TV now. Because if you say you don't have a TV now, that just means you uncomfortably watch television on your laptop with your friend's parents' stolen Netflix password. If you didn't have television in 1998, you literally had to go to see moving pictures. You had to go into a Sears. So now I have to explain to this guy what the real world is. And I do the only thing that seems rational at the time. And I say, "Well, it's a true story and about 7 strangers, and you're picked to live in a house, and they want to find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. It's called The Real World." And this guy hit me in the face, and the cameras follow you all the time, and it was just really traumatic, and I don't know what they're going to air on TV. And he stops me, and he says, "Irene, do you see the cameras in the room with us now?" And I realize that he thinks that I'm paranoid and delusional. And I have made up a land called the Real World, which is set in Seattle, Washington. And worse, he must think I suffer from low self-esteem because I don't even cast myself as the star. I'm in an ensemble class. So I start laughing. I go, "Oh, there's been a huge mistake. You think I'm crazy." But I'm not crazy. Now, should you ever go through a breakup or have an ex-boss you don't like, should you ever in life utter the words, "I'm not crazy," you sound crazy. If you say, "I'm not crazy," to your therapist, you sound batshit, which is why he stepped up his game, and he said to me, "Irene, I promise you, there is no real world." And I got up and I walked out and I said, "You're gonna really regret this. At 2 weeks on the 10 spot, I'm gonna be at MTV if you go to a Sears." And I left. And then it took me a few years to figure out that you just say to a therapist that you're afraid to fly and they give you Xanax. That's really all you should be doing at a psychiatry office.